I know you've had a couple of tough pre-seasons the last couple of years. You know what pain feels like. How does it feel coming into this year? Because things look far more optimistic.
Yeah, not as tough as the years before. We had a more predictable product. The drivers actually say it does what they do. You push the brakes and the car brakes. You steer left, it turns left, and that wasn't the case in the last few years. So it's a good start.
How much of a relief is that for you and the team that you seem to finally have cracked it, and at least give yourself a foundation to work off for a change?
Yeah, very good foundation, but we also need to be realistic. There is Red Bull out there with an amazing car, with top drivers, and they are still far ahead. And I think where we are now, we need to catch up quicker now that we understand what we need to do, and we're absolutely on it.
Now you've got one of the most sought-after seats in your team for next season. How are those plans coming along for trying to work out who's going to end up in that one?
Well, the decision of Lewis to go to Ferrari was a pretty quick one, so I want to do the opposite. I want to wait and see how the season pans out, how the driver market develops, and then take a decision later in the season.
I wondered how much the thought of what you wanted to do with Kimi Antonelli going forward impacted Lewis's last contract that you did with him, the length of it, and how hard is it for you to balance how soon you want to bring him in and not risk losing him like you did with Max?
Yeah, I said that we need to look long term also, and on the driver lineup, not in 1 year, but in 3, 5, or in 10. And with that perspective, I just wanted to keep the options open and with all the consequences that could potentially bring. But we have such a love affair between Lewis and Mercedes, and how well we have done, that nothing is going to put any shadow on this. We want to end on a high, and we will be giving it all this season.
But with Kimi, how do you know when the right time is to bring him in?
I'm probably guilty in having talked too much about Kimi because he's just 17. We jumped F3, he's going into F2. He needs to learn, he needs to be more in the shadow to be able to develop, understand what to do, and whether he's going to be in Formula One if everything goes to plan. But I don't know if this is next year or whether it's with us or someone else.
Fred, what did we learn from FP1? I know it's really hard to read into the pecking order, but what did you...
Bahrain, it's very windy.
And you learned a bit more than that, didn't you?
Yeah, but not so much. After 3 days of testing, that the conditions were a bit extreme. I think it will be less windy tomorrow. And honestly, you don't know about the fuel level and so of the competitors today. What we can see, it's probably that it's very, very tight, that you have the group of soft, and then behind the group with medium. With the group in medium, for 1/10, you are moving from P1 to P6 or 7. Again, we don't know about the level of fuel. Perhaps that someone had much more fuel than the others, or much less fuel than the others, and it will be a different picture tomorrow. But on our side, at least the car was quite consistent, much less wind sensitive than last year, and the feeling is globally positive.
Generally, that feeling has been positive throughout testing as well. It looks like you'd make steps with the car. What do you think the reasons are behind that?
The feeling was positive in terms of feeling, balance, consistency, and so now pure performance and peak of performance. We will see it on Saturday, not before. When at least Saturday we know that everybody will be with low fuel and full engine, but at least on the other aspect of the characteristic of the car, we are in better shape than 20 months ago.
The team feels like it's made a step forward in terms of morale as well. What do you think the reasons are behind that? Have you put things in place to just try and boost everyone?
I think that last year, for sure, the final result was not the one expected. But at the end of the day, I think we had a good season, if I can say, because that we made a decent improvement. We were able to fight for pole position almost all the last part of the season. Even on the race pace, we made a step that we were able to fight with Max on a couple of occasions. And I want to build 2024 on the last part of 2023. We know that we were quite weak on some areas last year, and we have to work and to continue to improve. But I want to keep this approach, this momentum, and to continue in the same direction.
Zach, obviously I know it's only been tested, I know it's only been P1 in Bahrain, but it seems like there's a lot of optimism inside the team, completely different to what it was this time last year. What do you think have been the keys to getting yourself in that position over the winter and kind of building on the strong end to last year?
I think it's been our people. They've done a fantastic job the second half of last year. I think what they showed what they were capable of with some great leadership from Andrea and his leadership team. I think that's continued in the off season, so we know we definitely have a faster race car. We're not yet quite sure what the other 9 teams have done, other than we know they weren't hibernating over the winter. I think the field's going to be closer than ever, which is going to be great racing for the fans. So I think it'll take a couple races to settle out to see where everyone is with their start of the year car. But then, as we know from last year and every year, it's a development race. So even though things might become clear what today's car looks like in 3 races, we know today's car is going to be different in 3 races, and I think that's the exciting part of Formula One.
Is there a little bit more optimism also that you've obviously got this car coming out, the brand new wind tunnel, you've put a big investment into that, and hopefully you're kind of up to par now with the rest of the field and the top teams?
Yeah, our technology infrastructure is really strong now. However, we didn't really get the benefit of that to the end of last year. So this car sitting here today was with some of our older technologies. It's really going to be the upgrades that see the benefit of our new technologies, the wind tunnel, things of that nature, because of the early lead time. So I think we'll see that come through in our development. We're excited. We've got a great team. We've added a few senior people, which I think will turbocharge what's already a great team. And then we've got, our newer technologies, which I'm sure we'll see some lap time benefit from over the course of the year.
Great, so just one final question. I know it's only FP1, there was a 10th between you and RB, and I know we've talked a little bit about AlphaTauri, RB, and that. What do you kind of make of what they're doing at the minute?
Well, I don't like the rules. I don't mind what they're doing because they're playing within the rules. So, good on them. I think they're just in a unique position that really no other teams are, and because the rules allow that, they benefit in a way that no other team can. And I think in any sport, you want to have total fairness and everyone being able to maximize the same rules. And so when you have two teams, there's a variety of ways they can benefit each other. They talk about the Champions League as an example, but if you look into the Champions League, that was quite controversial, and they had to prove total independence to allow that co-ownership. And so to use that as an example, but at the same time, you go and see on TV shows that the CEO of Red Bull is making the driver decision for RB AlphaTauri. You see the CEO making comments that they're going to take the suspension. They're sharing a wind tunnel. They have people on the same campus. That doesn't seem independent to me at all. So I think the Champions League example is a pretty poor one.
So Laurent, I know it was only FP1, and I know we shouldn't be getting excited, but there was only a 10th between you and McLaren's. The car looked good out there. What can we read into it?
Not much. No, seriously, we knew we had a program that will make us look a bit shiny in FP1. We decided to stick to what we felt was right to get the few answers we were after. So I think, very quickly you need to forget about page 1 right now. We'll probably understand a bit better in FP2, but the important things for us is to keep getting the answers we need in terms of where we need to put the car, and soon enough, the focus will be on the long runs and the race day.
You've seen the team operate now through testing, you've seen them through a practice session on a race weekend as team boss. Happy with how everything's going?
There is more positive than negative. There is a fantastic group of people there, and we are trying together to build the basis of what we need to do to make a step forward in performance. We don't think it's going to be something that will happen in one day, but everybody is trying to contribute to that process. And in the meantime, we are hitting the reality of the Grand Prix weekend every week or so. So it's a very exciting time. Very positive energy from everyone in the garage.
Now, what have you made of the pecking order so far? I know we haven't seen enough out on track to really tell us what the definitive one is, but you must have some data that shows where you think everyone is.
You know what, we do, because we can't correct ourselves in not looking into it, but seriously, it's a distraction right now for us. In that phase where the car is new, where you have to understand where to put it. Of course, relative competitiveness is going to be the topic of every single day for the remaining of the season. I think we try to use today probably as the last possible day where we're actually still trying to get the right data back at the factory, and then soon enough it will be about where we are compared to the others. If anything, We think that in the midfield, which is our group, we think the gaps will be very small again. Stability of the regulations are always going to be calling for that, and therefore the dynamic of the race weekend is one where the 1, 2, 3 tenths that you have in your hand can make a very big difference between being topping or trailing that group.